Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Live at Epiphan. It is Thursday at 3 p.m. My name's Cameron and I'll be your host for today. And we've actually got a pretty cool episode lined up. We're going to be looking at this sweet little piece of gear. So this is our Edelkrone motion control slider kit. But without further ado, welcome to Live at Epiphan. Now we're going to take a look at a few of the features on this rig, as well as kind of how we've assembled it and put it together. Edelkrone has set themselves up so you can be very modular with these kits. You can have the slider, you can have the motion control, or sorry, the slider control, or you can have the actual motion control, or just a few or one or the other. But it's a very cool rig. Now, as you can see, I'm all by myself today. George is actually off at IBC, so he is living the trade show life. I think it's like 6 or 8 hours difference, but we're going to check in with them a little bit later. They're just getting our booth all set up over at the trade show. But I'm going to go take a look at the chat and see who is joining us today. So looks like we had a couple of early birds tuning into the show a little bit earlier than when we were getting started. Always so stressed out doing the show by myself. I don't know why. I've got all the screen time to myself today. So Arturo Salcido, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you coming in early. Tim Trott, as usual, good to see you back. I was worried we lost all our viewers after that live show in Palo Alto where we did it in 360. That one was kind of rough. That was kind of rough. I could understand if you wanted to take a little bit of a break. I hope you did get a chance to check in last week's episode. Marta had a really good interview with the folks from WeVideo, so hopefully you got a chance to check that out. But I didn't see our regular viewers from last week, so I was a little bit worried. All right, well, if anyone else is in the chat, make sure to say hello. As I just sit here quietly by myself. All right. This is the multitasking part that always gets me. Got this title up that's not popping off yet. There we go. But thank you for tuning in, Tim. All right, so let's get into some of our regularly scheduled content, i.e. the news. Now, I don't know if you follow live streaming news. Obviously, you get all of your news from us here at Live at Epiphan. But one of the things that we've seen come up a couple of times are how local town councils approach live streaming, and how they look at live streaming is that it's definitely a way to open up the public accounts to the wider viewership, not just people that are available or at the actual town councils. So we've seen a lot of town councils go online. They've made the VODs online. That's the video on demand of these events, so you can look back to old council meetings that you might have missed. But we have seen some outliers where they're actually refusing to do live streaming, and I saw an article about that out of Wales. So I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of this town or this council. It's a little bit tricky. It's Welsh, so it's kind of a crazy hard to pronounce word. But this particular council in North Wales spent about $1,500 on live streaming gear. And then they decided that they're not going to go forward with the live streaming for kind of an odd reason. They decided that they're not going to do the live streams because they're afraid of someone actually dying on camera. Now, my first thought when I saw the article headline was, oh no, they're worried about like some kind of incident in the hall. Maybe someone comes in and, you know, I don't know, kill somebody on camera. But really what they're worried about is someone actually passing away on camera. So that's why the town council has decided pretty much unanimously not to allow live streaming at the actual council, which I thought was really bizarre. But of course, if you have any comments about live streaming or councils, or if you do that kind of work, please let us know, and we'll take a look for that on the actual chat. All right, now I think if they're ready, what we're gonna do is we've got a quick segment from our friends down in Amsterdam. So I think they're ready to go, and I'm just gonna cue that up right now. We're gonna take a look live from IBC in Amsterdam. It's George and Philip.
Hey, so we're here at IBC 2019. I'm here with George, and we are here at our booth. As you can see, we're in t-shirts because we're here on setup day. We've just been setting up all these amazing demos set up for you guys. So to get the ball rolling on this show, I thought, what would be a better way than to ask George Herbert some hard-hitting questions?
I don't know if I'm ready for that. But
So
okay.
George, what is the best part about a tech trade show like this one?
Well, for me, the best part is getting to travel to a different place, different country, different city, the food, the drink, whatever it might be. All that's kind of enjoyable. But that's kind of just for me personally. But I think overall the best part is talking to our customers, learning from our customers, and speaking to them face to face is a very different interaction than we normally get day to day. You know, a phone call and email is not. It's not the same. Talking face to face really, it's more intimate, obviously. So it definitely helps to figure out some of those things with our customers a lot better. So that's the best part by far.
So going off that question, what is the worst part about a trade show like this?
The worst part is the customers. No,
That was a joke.
no. In all seriousness, the worst part is actually the travel part. You know, you're exhausted. Sometimes you're working long days. You might skip meals because you're just working nonstop. Like you and I right now are starving. Missed lunch. So you're exhausted, you're tired, jet lag, all those things, and it's hard work. You know, a lot of my friends are always jealous. I'm traveling to Amsterdam, and I'm like, yes, but it is really, really hard work, and they don't really understand how hard it is. So that's the worst part.
Definitely. Okay, so our attendees are really excited to come by our booth. Do you have any new information for them or something that you can kind of give us a little teaser of?
Well, I mean, we always kind of keep a little secret in the back, but no, there's nothing really that's too huge and new in terms of there's no new box. But I think for this show and the attendees for this show, many of them have not seen the Pearl Mini or even the Pearl 2, as this is only our second year at IBC. So I think a lot of them are going to be really excited to learn about something, especially the Pearl Mini, where you have so much crammed into one little box. You know, this studio in a box with all the professional features that it has. And I think that's something that the type of attendees that come to IBC maybe haven't seen before, and we can sort of show them that and explore that with them and learn what they might use it for in a broadcast context.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so last question for you, George. Amsterdam is awesome because...
That's a good question. It's a beautiful city.
It is gorgeous. This city is absolutely, the architecture, everything about it is just awesome.
Especially at this time of year when the weather's okay. You know, when we normally come in February, the weather is kind of terrible. This time of year, it's beautiful. It's nice and warm, it's sunny, it's great. But part of that, the best part about being here with how nice it is, there's also great restaurants here.
The food, definitely a big highlight.
Yeah, we went to one already that we're going back to tomorrow night.
Oh yeah.
And we have a few others lined up of our favorite places that we like to go. So that's awesome for that. But honestly, I recommend to anybody who has the chance to come here. It's just a beautiful city. It really is.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, thanks for that, Phil and George. It's good to see the booth down at IBC, or over at IBC, I should say. And we're looking forward to seeing some more wide shots of the booth. Whoops. Looking forward to seeing some more wide shots of the booth as well. That's a pretty cool setup. And it's the first time we've done a big booth like that. And I think it's our second year at IBC as well, second or third year. So that's pretty cool to see that in action. All right, I'm going to take a quick look, see if we've got any more chatter on the chat here. Yeah, so Arturo, that was a pre-recorded segment. I can't lie. Obviously, it's a little bit tricky with the time difference. George Birchall actually shot that this morning in Amsterdam and sent it over to us so that we could play it back on the show. So yeah, you busted us. Obviously, we're faking it till we make it here. Now, Danny Grizzle, loving the Pearl Mini. Where do you see a Pearl Mini in here? Do I have one in the background that I forgot about? Or maybe that's what they were talking about in the video. And yes, thank you, Marta. You're a sweetheart. Actually, I'm going to throw that one up just because I can. And of course, I'm here by myself again. Lisa is off at IBC too. This is the first time that she has an opportunity to go out and see one of her booths in action. She is our graphic designer, booth builder, trade show coordinator extraordinaire, and hopefully she's having a good time out in Amsterdam, as well as getting to see how the actual booth comes together, because I know she was very excited about that. All right, now without further ado, let's talk about our motion control slider. So this one we picked up from Edelkrone. We bought it specifically for a project that we were doing down in Boston, and I'm going to show you a few clips from that production. But the idea behind purchasing this rig was so that we could really step up our game on our dolly tracking and some of our slider shots. Now, if any of you have used the slider before, you know it can be very tricky to get the motion just right, and you want to get that perfect ramp at the beginning and the end, and it can be really tricky, especially if you're trying to redo the same motion, or if you're like me and you don't have the steadiest of hands. So that's really where the Edelkrone has come in and really taken advantage of this space and being a very premium product within the market. So we've been using it for a while. I've really been enjoying it. There's a few deficiencies with it, and we'll kind of get into that in a minute, but yeah, we'll take another look at the chat here. Danny's saying, our Pro Mini. So that's good to hear, Danny. You've actually got a Pro Mini. When did you pick that up? I'm curious how long you've had that before. But yeah, let us know in the notes, or let us know in the comments rather. So let's get into the actual rig itself. Now this rig is very cool. It has XY axis, as well as the ability to rotate this way. On the actual dolly track, it does move back and forth. I'm going to show you a couple of movements here. But first, let's get over to our actual feed from the Edelkrone. So I've got this rigged up so I can show you these moves. I'm just going to take off the controller here so I can still use it. Now here's an example of a nice smooth motion that you might want to have if you're going to push in on a character or kind of wrap around. Now, I don't know if you can notice, but the focus, ooh, I guess the focus didn't actually pull the way I wanted it to there. There we go. So the focus is actually controllable on the camera itself, just through a focus adapter that we've put on there. Now, I think that I might have lost that setting, but let's try that one again. Just going to zoom in a little bit here. And yeah, it looks like the focus is just a little bit off. There we go. I'm going to try that again. So this would be kind of a cool shot, and that way you can set this up. You don't have to have another camera operator actually using the camera at the same time. You can control it right on your phone. Now, one of the things that I would like to see from Edelkrone would be an actual dedicated device. I do find this kind of tricky using the app on my phone, and I do have an older iPhone, so the battery doesn't tend to last very long on there, which is kind of a drag. But it does all pair up automatically. It'll detect all of the different devices that are on, and it actually works very efficiently that way. Here's another kind of cool angle that you can do. And all my focuses are off, so I think I might have muddled that somewhere. Yeah, the Rhino Arc 2 is pretty cool. Danny, is that the one that actually is an arc? So it has like this nice parabolic shape to it, kind of like the one-man crew. That's a cool rig as well. All right, let's get this guy swung back around. All right, as you can see, it's just tilting back and forth. So I'm going to show you just on the controller how we can do these slides. Now, if you're familiar with easy ease or easing in and out, that's actually one of the functions on this as well. I've always got the ease all the way over because I think it's just nice and smooth to start off. But you can do a more jagged ease like this, or you can do a nice smooth ease. Yeah, so not parabolic, as Danny was saying, but I was thinking of the Red Rock Micro. I think the Red Rock Micro is the one that's the one-man crew, or it's just one-man crew and that's just the one thing that they make. But there's definitely lots of cool toys out there to use. Now, yesterday morning I had an opportunity to go out into the field, got some shots of the actual, of our slider in action. So I'm just going to pull up one of those clips and I will show that now. So what I was just showing you there was an example of some hyperlapses. Now the way that that worked is that this slider would crawl around super slow, so it's just like barely a centimeter, you know, per every few seconds. But the way that the gears are set up is that it can have a really slow turn without it being jerky at all. Now I set it up for about 7 minutes, so each of those shots that you saw were about 7 to 10 minutes. So you're capturing the action from the A point all the way to the B point, and then of course all the stuff that happens in between is really quick when you sped it up. That was about 5,000 times its actual speed. And then of course all the camera motion itself looks like a regular motion because it's sped up, but it was recorded at such a slow crawl. But I love that effect, it's very cool. And we've actually used it a couple of times in different projects that we've done here. Now back to the actual camera itself, so I can kind of break down the different components that we have for you. So this piece here is the HeadPLUS Pro. So the HeadPLUS can turn back and forth, as well as do our tilts up and down, and panning up and down. And on the track, the slide module number 2, not sure what the upgrade was from the first iteration of that, and this will take our slider back and forth, or sorry, move the head back and forth on the slider. And then we have our focus module, which is this piece here. And so that just fits in with a regular Cine gear. We've used one of the adapters on our lenses that have the right size teeth, but I'll definitely be looking at getting some proper adapters for that, because there is a screw mount on the end of the ring. And then once it hits the end of that ring, then it'll kind of jump on that and skip while you're doing calibration, which makes me a little bit nervous because it looks like it's putting a lot of pressure on the actual mount itself. Now let's just take a look at some of our comments here. Yeah, so Danny was nodding yes. Oops. I'll just throw that comment right underneath the title, that's smart. Now, Danny, you did have a question about the phone, so I think I've covered that one, just in that the phone is what you actually use to control the module itself. So I'm pretty sure that's what you're getting at with that. Now, what I've done for this particular rig, because you are using your phone basically all the time for this, is I've mounted that to our power base battery. So powering the unit itself, we have a V-mount power base edge, and so the way this one works is that it's mounted onto the rig, as well as powering the rig through this V-mount adapter that you can see here. So that's attached on, and then that's just plugged in directly into the actual unit. And then because my iPhone battery tends to die so quickly and consistently, actually taking advantage of the USB ports on the top of the power base, so I can actually keep my phone powered while I'm using the unit. All right. Now, there are some really cool features that you can do with this rig, including some cool special effects. So I've prepared a quick clip of one of the pieces that we put out recently, which was for a PTZ Optics NDI camera that we took a look at and did a quick start on. So I'm going to play that for you. So as you can see in that piece, one of the really cool features with the Edelkrone is that you can repeat the exact same motion over and over and over again. So you could take a Pearl 2, for example. We had that on the counter here. I shot the plate, or the blank shot, without any Pearl 2. Did a shot with the Pearl 2, then added on the PTZ camera in another shot, and then the remote control in a subsequent shot. And so what I'm able to do in post is actually fade in each of those elements as we're progressing through that shot. So it makes for a really cool effect. I don't know how practical it'll be for us using all the time, but it's definitely a cool trick, and it makes it a little bit more engaging, a little bit more interesting when you're watching that video content. I'm just going to bounce back into our chat again. Excuse me, looks like it's just Danny in there commenting away. If anyone else has had any experience using this particular rig, if you want to throw up any comments or feedback that you have on it. So far, like I said, I've been really happy with it. One of the things that I'm not so crazy about is that this doesn't actually lock down. So when you go to carry it, I find that this one kind of swings a little bit. What I've gotten the habit of doing is folding up the tripod, letting this swing over, and then just putting that right on my shoulder, and that way I kind of create a nice little spot for it so it doesn't actually flap around. Another thing that we kind of discovered by accident on set was that this guy also does fold, and if you have too much weight on here, then it'll fold right down. So I was actually using this little bit of metal to use a super clamp on and put our monitor on, and a little bit too much weight ended up falling down a couple of times. Didn't damage anything because I was right there. I was able to catch it, but yeah, definitely stressful when it's coming off. Now, of course, we're going to post some links in the description for this show, so if you want to check out some more information about this particular unit or about Edelkrone in general, you can head to their website. We also did, the actual purpose of picking up this kit was for a case study that we did down in Boston earlier this year, and we actually ended up with some pretty cool shots from that video. So once I get that queued up, we'll show that off. Now, in this one, what we did was actually used it as our B cam for the interviews. So we had this going back and forth. What I really like to do is have it go back and forth on kind of this axis, if you see that motion. So the camera itself was staying pointed at the target as it was moving along the slider. And that way you get this really cool kind of parallax effect with the background moving, but the subject in the front kind of stays the same. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's check out the clip. That was pretty cool. Lots of really fun shots, and you also saw a shot of actual time lapse there. So there's another setting within the Edelkrone where it will control one of our cameras. So we do have the proper adapter for this for the Sony, and it'll trigger the lens. So it kind of acts like a big intervalometer where it'll move, take a photo, move, take a photo, move, take a photo. So that was that big wide shot of the hull that you saw. And again, that was fun, but it does take a lot of planning. When you go to set up these motion control shots, you can't really just wing it per se. You have to make sure that you're set up from A to B, you've got the right focus, and then that you have the right amount of time. So, these shots can take anywhere from 10 minutes to, an hour if you're going really slow, but you want to make sure that you've got it all rigged up. Yeah, the Kessler is pretty cool. So Danny is talking about the Kessler Cine drive. So yeah, that is a very, very expensive rig. Very cool, very powerful, and a lot more adaptable. I think because it is a pro unit. I'm sorry to hear that. So Danny's saying that he has the two of the Rhino EVO sliders, but the Rhino Motion is hit or miss on reliability. He loves it, but it has failed in the field, which, yeah, that's not great if you are traveling and you're going to distant locations, especially when your client's watching. All right, and yeah, thanks for your feedback, Danny. Those were fun. It was fun to put those together as well. All right. Well, if you have any other questions about the Edelkrone, please make sure to throw those up in the chat. But that pretty much does it for this week's episode. It was going to be a quick one. These solo episodes are a little bit trickier to put together, and I've got no one to talk to, so I have no fun banter, and you don't want to hear me just talking to myself. Now, of course, next week we actually have a pretty cool episode coming up. We're going to be chatting with our winner of our scholarship contest. So we might remember earlier in this year we were promoting our scholarship contest. We gave a $500 scholarship for anyone in North America. They just had to write an essay about what their thoughts on live streaming are. So we're going to have Cassidy Jean. She's our winner, and she's going to be talking to us about her thoughts on the future of accessibility and live streaming. And of course, if you are in Amsterdam right now, if you're visiting IBC in the next couple of days, please make sure to visit us. We are at booth number 14, H2S. All right, gang. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, make sure to tune in next week. We're live on Thursdays at 3 p.m., and you can find us right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, if anyone's actually streaming on Twitch. But I'll have to check the comments on there later because we're not monitoring those. But thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.